This time we'll call the Tuesday, December 7th, 2021 meeting of the Jackson County Board of Supervisors to order. Larry McDevitt, Mike Steinis, and myself, Jack Willie, are the supervisors. We have Lisa Smith and Bjorn Beck from the auditor's office and Luann Kolke, our administrative assistant. And our first appointment this morning, as usual, is David Breyer, Jackson County engineer.
Good morning. I just have one utility permit for work in the right of way for Macocata Valley Electrical Cooperative and work for Bellevue Township, Section 6 on 304th Avenue. They're boring an underground conduit and cable underneath 304th Street. So pretty straightforward and recommend approval.
We have a motion and a second to approve the utility permit from the Macocata Valley Electric. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Sign it and give it to you now. And you're so brief today.
Leading you along.
Sarah? Lisa asked if you can come down to Supervisor's office.
There you go.
Thank you. Have a good day.
When she took, call Sarah down, so. All right.
Also, Marty Hudlik is not going to be in today. Is Sarah going to come down now?
She's on her way. It'll be a few minutes, she said, but
Okay.
she's on her way.
I guess we'd recess until we're joined by Sarah.
Okay.
We will reconvene the meeting and we're being joined by Sarah Davenport, Jackson County Attorney.
Good morning.
So I'm here to talk about my request for ARPA funding. And I thought I would start by just explaining kind of how our discovery process works now. And then what the crime fighter program can do for myself and law enforcement. So kind of the way it works is a new charge comes in and then either the officer will send over their report and statements and whatnot, or Jesse will make the request. And then they have to physically get the paper copies to us or email them to us in some fashion. And then Amanda or I, whoever's case it is, will then make a follow-up request for any digital discovery materials like body cam videos, squad cam videos, surveillance videos, photographs, that kind of thing. Obviously for the sheriff's office right now and for the Macocata Police Department, they're right across the street. So it's not like it's a huge burden to get that across the street, but certainly for the smaller departments, it is. I either have to wait for the sheriff's department to go to one of the police departments and pick the stuff up, or they have to come here. And then on the other side, when I'm providing discovery to defense attorneys, we're in a very digital age. And so we're getting more and more and more digital discovery. So what we do is if the file is less than the total files is less than 5 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes really, then we'll put it on a DVD. If it's more than that, then we require the defense attorney to provide us with a flash drive, which sometimes can take time, especially if they're an attorney that's not here very often. So they may have to mail it. And then we also have that additional cost then of mailing it back to them. What iCrime Fighter will do is put all of this in the cloud. So starting with law enforcement, they can upload all of their information, including all of their videos, pictures, and whatnot. I can then access it from my office. And when a defense attorney makes a request, we can check what we want them to have and it sends it to them via email. The other good thing about that is it keeps track of that so that if a defense attorney were to say, well, I didn't get that, I can say, well, I did send it on this date. In addition to just cutting down on some of, I think it'll make it more convenient, it'll make it more efficient to get the documents and information to myself in my office, and then also out to the defense attorneys. And I think it will also ultimately create a cost savings. Because we're not gonna be buying flash drives and not to worry about CDs, and that's for my office and for law enforcement. Several years ago, we kind of came up with an agreement with the Macocata Police Department because they had so much video that they put it on a flash drive, bring it over to our office. Amanda and I have external hard drives, we download it to, and then we give them their flash drive back. So at least we're kind of trying to reuse it, but that's still kind of a process that we can streamline. And that's what this program does. Also, a benefit to law enforcement is that if we have surveillance video from, say, Walmart, anytime we have any case from Walmart, there's always surveillance video. Rather than having to go and pick up the surveillance video, they can email a link to the asset protection officer who can then upload it themselves. And that'll cut down on some of the officers having to go to these various places to get the surveillance videos themselves. Now, obviously, there's a cost to this. The fee is broken down for this program. It's $300 per user, and a user is defined as a full-time police officer. So for each department, then it would be $300 for each of their full-time officers. And then for my office, it's $1,000. Jason. Per year, yes.
Okay.
Jason, who's the salesman that I've been working with, is willing to give us a $100 per user discount. So it's only $200 per user for law enforcement. And so I'm requesting to do a 5-year, I'd like to do a 5-year contract. And one of the reasons for that is to ensure we have this discount, but also I think in 2.5 years, and half the time, law enforcement will see the full value. Because right now they're looking at it thinking that all the value is on me, that I don't have to make copies and send it to defense attorneys and whatnot. But I think that they're going to see the value, especially when it comes to getting videos and whatnot from somewhere else. And so my hope is if I can secure this funding and get this program started now, that they'll be more than willing to go to their councils to request funding after that 5 years to continue this program on out to whenever. So
will current stuff be uploaded on this program too?
I guess it would depend on where we're at in the system. If we've already done discovery, probably not. If it's a
That's
new
where I'm going
case.
and say if somebody stops whoever
Mhm.
and they can download and they can see what's happened in the last 5 years or whatever. And you know, if they put in a name, how much information can they find out? Because they might have somebody that should detain and not let go. Would it be used for that? I mean, can you access it on the
So
road?
the way it'll, no, so the way that it'll work is that on the law enforcement side, they are going to create like a case name, so the defendant's name, and then they're gonna upload everything on their side. So they have to do it per case. So it's not like all of the information. We're not gonna use this as a storage for all of our videos. So it's gonna be case specific.
So I think what you're talking about, Larry, you could go online now and find out the history of somebody, if you know what they've been charged with.
Oh, criminal history, yeah, absolutely.
And that's every.
Oh, yeah, you can do that yourself if you want to. You get it going and see what the history is of a person or. But this, to me, I guess I talked to Brent a little bit about it. And he said he had talked to Crocker and BB about it. I guess he feels it's the way of the future. And at some point, we're gonna have to do it and budget for it anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
So. And it's surely gonna keep, people, whoever needs it, hard for me to understand how this all works. you know, when you're talking
Absolutely, it
about
is.
You're sending who's gonna look at it and who's gonna use it.
Mhm.
I think it's certainly a way to keep people apart. So they don't have to come here and you don't have to deliver stuff and, it
It's
sounds
just
like. a way of
streamline the whole
future.
system so you can get
Right.
more work done faster.
So we
So
don't have to be making copies, so that'll cut down too. I mean,
when would you plan or want to implement this?
I would, if I were to be granted the funding, if you were to tell me you would give me the funding today, then I would work on getting it by the first of the year.
Absolutely.
I think so.
Well. as far as the AARP money, I guess that's what I feel we should be using it for, so people don't have to come here. Like we talk about digitizing things, I think that's a great idea. And if this is something that we're gonna have to pay for anyway, at some point, the way it sounds,
Yeah,
budget for it, or each office or wherever it may be, I don't know.
we would split it. There'd be,
And if we're gonna get a discount, and this is for 5 years, I guess then we wouldn't have to worry about it for 5 years.
that's right.
But I don't know, what do you guys think about?
I would make a motion to approve. It's a good setup.
I would second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I guess I don't know, that's just my opinion, and when talking to Brent a little bit, I mean, he wasn't. Like he needed it right now, but he says it's certainly coming. That's all the information I really have.
Well, I think it sounds like a great system,
I think it will be.
and would certainly alleviate a lot of extra maneuvering around.
And we don't have to put the burden on the taxpayer.
No.
Right, exactly.
Okay, motion and a second. Anything more? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
All right, thank you very much.
That's Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
All right.
Get the votes. Okay, Lisa. You want to do your,
Good morning.
Good morning.
I need a motion this morning to approve the minutes of the November 30th, 2021 board proceedings as written by Auditor Smith and authorize publication in the official newspapers.
Motion to approve.
Second.
motion and a second to approve the publication of the previous minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Motion needed to approve and authorize the auditor's office to issue warrants in the publication of the claims listing in the amount of $145,963.90.
Motion to approve.
Second.
With a motion and a second to approve the claims? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. motion
Refreshing.
carried. Uh,
It was a little refreshing.
Yeah, yeah,
Finally.
it
Yeah.
certainly was.
Yeah. Motion needed to approve a handwritten warrant for Miller Concrete and Construction for $11,016 to rewrite the senior center paving project.
Motion to approve.
Rewrite the senior center. Oh.
So the
parking lot.
check was approved. The claim was made out incorrectly with a wrong address.
Oh,
And so it was sent to the wrong Miller Concrete Company. So we rewrote the check to the correct company.
so did they bring the check back?
They did bring the check.
Nice of them.
That's good.
Yes,
Same amount though, correct?
yes.
We have a motion for a second.
Yeah.
Or we have-
Did we have a motion and a second?
I made a motion to approve, yes.
Okay,
One second. I wasn't sure where we were at.
I don't think we voted yet.
no, we haven't.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Motion needed to accept, place on file, and authorize the chair's signature on the county recorder's report of fees collected for the month of November 2021 in the amount of $39,081.72.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the report from the auditor or the recorder. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion needed to approve resolution number 847-12-07-2021, certifying delinquent Leisure Lake sewer assessments to the county treasurer for property tax collection as filed in resolution book 4, page 408.
Motion to approve.
Did they go down some?
Well, it's like 3,000 and some for just this time.
Nearly 4,000,
Yeah.
$2,993.58.
There's still a considerable amount of money that isn't being
We
collected.
do collect them, it's periodically, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
And then just to mention it, I would like to discuss, at some point, we need to have a public hearing and we have to have public notice concerning the Jackson County voting precincts. So just, I would like you to think about it and we need to schedule a time. Doesn't necessarily need to be today. I know we've got a kind of a busy day ahead of us, but we do need to at least take a look to see what your thoughts are and to ask for public input when it comes to redistricting in Jackson County. Re-precincting is specifically what I'm talking about. We will need to make some changes because of the legislative district change. So. some
Yeah,
thoughts.
I'm thinking about that and, you know, like you said, how do you get that out to all the precincts or to the public, you know, it's just like the flood map thing we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Right.
It was in the paper, it was on all the papers, we had a public hearing, they had a chance to dispute it, but, you know, it's like, well, I didn't see it, everybody. How do we reach them?
I'm just telling you, we are on a time crunch.
Yeah,
This all has to be done by January 15th.
well, if we need to set the public hearing now,
I don't need to hear it. I think what will happen is that I'm looking potentially at maybe December 28th for a public
so
hearing.
we got time yet.
That's what I'm thinking about. If we could talk about it and then I could need to get notice out to the newspapers and such to schedule it.
Of what the plan is.
Right, I'm looking at possibly on the 28th to have a public hearing and pass the ordinance.
Okay.
But I'd like to at least have you take a look as far as some potentials. Those, when it comes
This
to
is just the
precincts,
precincts you're talking about,
yes,
right?
you can have no
Yeah.
more than 3,500 in a precinct. And kind of the examples that I've given you, we do have less than 3,500.
Was that on the information you gave me, the 3,500 thing?
Not, the number 3,500 was not on the information that I gave you. I just gave you a by precinct, and I gave you another sheet that kind of shows how people are, the trends, how people are voting as far as absentee versus going to the polls. So there's a few things to decide as far as location to the precincts and such. Yeah, well, you know what? I wanted it on one page, so sorry. Yeah. Yeah,
I might have to blow that up.
yeah. Well, and I can do that. I just,
No, we'll take a look at it.
yeah. So I guess take a look at it. We can have some discussion. Let's have, and I invite the public to call me, call you to discuss this if they have any questions or concerns.
Do you have percentages of like each precinct of vote?
In some I do, yes.
Okay.
I looked at the 18 and 20 election, and I can possibly go back farther. But because of our legislative district change in the tier, the bottom tier, the southwest tier of Jackson County, splitting what we know is right now is the 5th precinct, which is the Monmouth-Brandon precinct, because that has been split by the legislative district, we can no longer have it that way. So we are being forced to change that precinct.
I see.
That's the problem.
So
That
part
started
of
the
that,
issue.
and yeah, okay.
And so then you start looking at the numbers.
So how many, okay, we have what, 15 precincts?
So right now, we currently have 16 precincts, and depending on what happens, I'm under the assumption that Macocata City will still have 5 precincts or 5 wards. So depending on that, we will either come up with either 13 or 14 precincts, depending on what our discussion will be. We could combine a couple of precincts if you don't feel there's enough voters in that precinct. I mean, as we move forward for the next 10 years, I think we have to look at potential, possible, maybe, as far as if we do any equipment upgrades. And we need to look at what the cost per precinct is with election officials. When I was in Des Moines several weeks ago, I was visiting with several auditors. They were having an incredible amount of time that they have spent looking for election officials. We really, honestly, we don't have that problem, but we work really hard at locating and talking to election officials, and it's not something that we do, a month before the election. We work at that all year,
Sure.
and that's to our advantage.
So do we want to set it for the 28th at this time?
Well, that's my potential, but I think I will ask for a formal motion next week.
Okay.
How's that? So then what I would do is, if I ask for a formal motion next week, I could get it in the paper on the 10th. It'll get published on the 15th and the 16th, and that would give us some time. I mean, theoretically, that's why in visiting with Sarah, that was a discussion yesterday, to then do everything on the 28th. So between here and the 28th, and even if you want, we'd have to make some decisions if I publish this, whatever scenario I've given you, if we publish this map, what you're thinking when it comes to combining of precincts, then I could publish that map also to allow the voters to take a look as far as what we're possibly looking at.
I guess my comment would be to do that, we probably need a work session to discuss what you've come up with.
I would agree with
And
that.
I would say,
I would just as soon do
with-
it sooner than later, yes.
I would say the soonest we could do that would probably be next Monday. Or probably maybe on Friday, but our week this week is,
Pretty crazy.
Oh, I just
Yes.
said wrong, because today's the 7th. I would need to get it on, I would publish on this, get it to the newspaper on the 17th. I'm off a week, I'm sorry. Because today is the 7th. So next week I would ask for a motion, get it to the newspaper on the 17th, get it published on the 22nd, 23rd, and then try and pass on the 28th. So yes.
I
we
think
would-
that timing is lousy.
Yes, it is.
It's right at Christmas time
Mm-hmm.
and people are gonna be doing other things, not reading the paper. Could we not do it today? Pass the motion.
I'm
to set it?
only asking for I am asking for a date for a public hearing.
I don't see an issue with with having the public hearing on the 28th.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I think we could set the time and date and then we'll have to work on what you publish.
Yes, yes, we do need to have a work session when it concerns that.
Right now on our agenda from Luann, the only thing that we have on Friday is Larry has 7th judicial at 10 a.m. How long does that usually take, Larry?
I don't get back in town until at least noon or 1 o'clock. Probably noon. I mean, 1 o'clock would work.
There is,
What's happening next Monday, the 13th?
I don't know what time.
Compensation board? Oh, that's what it was, okay. I knew there was a meeting, yes,
Right,
that doesn't
yeah.
concern me.
3 o'clock,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. I'm pretty much always here. I'm not here tomorrow afternoon. I'm not here on the 15th. So whenever it's convenient for you, it's
Well,
not gonna-
Wednesday, there are 8 different meetings.
Yeah.
Thursday, there's 3. Friday right now is just Larry for 7th judicial.
And is that by Zoom or is that in person?
In person.
And what time is that?
10. He said he could be back and we can have a meeting at 1. Would that work for you?
That works for me if it don't last 3 hours.
No. I mean, I don't know why this would. I've given you,
You've given us an example.
I've
3
given you
different.
3 different examples with voter registration totals.
Well, I think the sooner the better. Yeah, I don't have an issue.
Because if you want to publish the maps
I do,
in with that notice,
yeah,
we need to do that sooner than later.
I do need to do that. And, okay, so.
And the deadline for, if we have the meeting this Friday on the 10th, is it Monday morning you have to have it to the newspaper or?
I won't make it this week because today's the 7th. I would have to have something to the newspaper by,
Yeah, I know for
so the
the
10th.
15th.
So on the 17th is when I need to get it to the newspaper. So we need to have our map ready to go and have everything to the newspaper on the 17th.
Yeah.
That way it would publish this.
But that way,
22nd,
we're
23rd.
publishing at Christmas week.
Yep,
Can't we not have the meeting this Friday and have it ready to go? So it could be published on the 15th?
Is there some way we could work it in today? I mean, I don't know how
Here,
much.
I don't think
conversation
in order to get it to the newspaper, I need to have a decision made
By Thursday,
For sure.
Thursday afternoon, so we can have everything ready to go. I mean, if you want to push it back another week, then we're into January, which would be the 4th. So
I'm
if you-
okay on Thursday too. What's everybody got going Thursday?
Thursday.
7 a.m. I'll be in Independence
Hometown
on
party,
Thursday.
Oh, 3 o'clock in Bellevue for me.
Well, that's a Zoom
Okay.
meeting, but Jack will be at Independence.
Oh, okay, that is.
Middle of the day.
When are you going? Oh,
We have the HS council meeting in Independence. This
what time?
starts at 10, but it takes me an hour and a half to get there and an hour and a half to get back. And it's scheduled till 1 o'clock.
Hmm.
That kind of suits your day, you know.
Is this a 4 and 20, Lisa, for publication?
Yes,
Wednesday is busy, yeah.
Really?
Could you talk to the newspaper and see if we have this meeting on Friday? If you brought it to them first thing Monday morning or
Well,
Monday?
what time can we do earliest on Friday?
so I guess I'm just,
Noon? Would you be back by noon?
I guess I'm
Could be
just,
back by
so
noon.
you don't like the 28th as a,
No, the 28th is fine, but would it be published on the, no?
so if we can,
If it would be published to the week of Christmas is what he's saying. If you take it to him on the 17th, it wouldn't be in the papers, the maps and such wouldn't be in the papers till the week of Christmas.
that's correct, that would be Wednesday and Thursday before Christmas.
So if we got it to them and Friday afternoon by 3 p.m.
But you're also going to have, if you schedule a meeting today to at least talk about it, I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
Well,
be happy to do it today. I mean, that's as open as anything else when we're here.
that's not gonna give us time to look at it and look at the votes
I don't-
and all of that.
And you've taken no public input.
Okay.
I mean, let me just,
We're not really gonna get public input until we get it published. So I think the sooner we can get it published, so if we can get it, the meeting done by Friday and get it to them by Friday afternoon. What's the latest, 3 o'clock?
no, I think it's noon, I think it's the latest
Well,
on
they may give
Friday.
you an exception.
Well, and by Monday, they're sending the papers out because they don't print them here anymore, so
How
they
long
gotta
would
send them
that
out.
meeting take?
You know what, I've given you 3 different scenarios. It's not saying that that's not even the one that you're going to pick or even think about. We need to talk about, handicap accessibility is the huge thing.
Well, I guess, and you would have more information on that being in these precincts, all these precincts before, where is the best location?
Well, so that's what we need
If
to
you're
talk
gonna
about.
combine 3 different precincts. What's our best option? Yeah, is it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Honestly, if
Okay,
you wanted to
how-
have a meeting on it, and Kelly, you can see here, Kelly has chimed in. She says
Can
that,
you tell me, Larry, how long this ISAC annual report webinar on Wednesday is gonna take? It says 1 o'clock. Is it scheduled for all afternoon? It's,
No, it's like an hour, hour and a half.
and I don't have to go to 988 Coalition. I can miss that. But if we could have a meeting like at 2:30 on Wednesday afternoon, that won't work for you.
She just says we can have a tour by 5 p.m. on Friday, that we're fine.
what do you have going Wednesday afternoon, late?
911 at 6 and the Macokota Watershed,
It's
Camp Courageous
Monticello.
Monticello from 4 to
4.
7:30.
Right.
Okay, so Wednesday's out. How about Thursday morning?
7
Has to be
a.m. is
Independence by
Mike,
10.
10 a.m. is me in Independence.
His day is shot on Thursday.
And Thursday night?
Tuesday night's all right so far.
I would be in North Cedar.
Friday morning?
Friday morning, 8 o'clock.
What time do you leave?
I need to leave here by 9.
You-
We should have something
But
by
if we can
then.
have it at noon on Friday.
Yeah, we can have that noon. That works fine.
If we tell the paper it's coming, that might be okay. They know how
She
much
says we can
space.
get a tour by 5. I don't care. that
So
what
are
we
you
use?
trying to push then, so if we get it to the paper on the 10th,
Mhm.
it'll be published the 15th and the 16th, are you saying you want to pass the ordinance, have a public hearing and pass the ordinance on the 21st?
No. we
No,
can Still
the
wait till the
28th.
You
28th.
still want to do the 20th,
Yeah,
you're just going to
it's-
allow more
Do we have
time.
the time frame if we publish it? Is that the right amount of days, whatever it is?
For the 28th, the 10th is the last day we can send it to the publishers to get it on the 28th.
It's 4 and 20, so we,
Right, so it's gotta be done between the 8th of.
I just think it's
December and the
important to have
24th.
that 15th and 16th publication dates so that people
Have
Okay.
time
would have time to look at it.
Okay.
And
and make calls, yeah,
okay,
for this information. So let's just do it, meet on noon on Friday. That work for you or no?
I'm gonna go look,
Well, we did.
yes. So we're gonna say noon Friday. I would say, look at the 3 scenarios and you may want to come up with something different.
Well, we can always call you or. you
Yeah,
know.
I will be off Wednesday
Do
afternoon.
you have one scenario or 2 scenarios that you like better in here?
There's 3 scenarios that I've given you. I think that we have to make some changes because of that legislative district split between Brandon and Monmouth Township. That is one issue. Our other issue is where the Township of Tatumore should vote. Should the Township of Tatumore vote and go to Lamont, or should they come down and go to Bellevue? In other words, do you want people from St. Donatus to come to Bellevue, or do you want people from St. Donatus to go to Lamont?
Well, I mentioned this before. I think Tatumore comes almost to Bellevue. You're a mile outside of Bellevue, you're in Tatumore Township already. So I don't
Basically,
know where it goes
if you look at the
west.
Dressler subdivision, that's in
right,
Tatumore.
right.
So
Oh,
that's,
Okay,
so if you think of going from Dressler's north, that's what we're talking about.
And how far does it go west out from the city?
Well, if you look at your map, I mean, yeah, I can't,
Either way, I don't think they got good roads either way. It's about 10 miles either way. I don't. think
yeah,
it's-
yeah,
I just don't think it's an issue. If you think that the Bellevue precinct can handle that,
well, there's over 3,000 voters in that precinct. By putting Tatumore in that
then
precinct,
we're okay with that. That's 3,087.
you know, that means that I have to stay less than 3,500.
35, okay.
And we would set the precinct up differently. And I also believe that I need to talk to the city of Bellevue to see if we can get better lighting in the parking lot at night.
Okay.
It has, when you look at handicap accessibility, if you look strictly at that, it makes more sense to come to Bellevue. They have a little bit more parking than they do up at Lamont. Lamont doesn't have
Where do you have it in Lamont?
at the rec center.
Oh,
I don't think in the other scenario, I think it pushes, what's the number in the Lamont? You know what?
that's pretty straight. You mean?
Prairie Springs and Richland. Okay.
It makes sense for Richland to go to Lamont.
So in my scenario 1, the Prairie Springs, to put Prairie Springs and Richland together is 768 voters. When I put Prairie Springs, Richland and Tatumore together, that pushes it to almost 1,600. And I don't know if that precinct has good enough parking and those,
Right. I mean, there ain't even no concrete up there. They're just right in front of the building.
right. So those are the 2 considerations. And then when you look at the numbers, and I'm not saying that we do this, I did this just as a comparison. In number 1, I combined the precincts of Iowa and Union Township, which would combine Miles City and Sebula into one precinct. Then it makes 1,140 people in that precinct. If you leave them separate in scenario number 2, then the Miles precinct has 571 voters and the Sebula precinct has 569. So that's the question. Where do we want to go?
where
Do
do
we
they
want to,
go in Iowa now?
well, we have, in Iowa Township, they vote at Miles City Hall, and Union Township, they vote at Sebula City Hall. So that would be the question is, do you feel it's necessary to keep those relatively equal, 571 and 569? It takes, 3 election officials at each precinct, so there's 6 election officials, equipment. So you kind of, I mean, is
It'd be
it, how
easier.
important? huh?
Okay, let's,
I mean, to me, it would make sense to make it all one district.
It does, then the problem is parking. Parking is a big issue.
where do you do it, Preston or Miles?
But I'm not talking about Preston.
No,
with
You're
this
talking about
scenario.
Sevilla?
I'm talking about Seville and Miles. They are both at the city halls. Yeah, see,
Can't, I mean, Fairfield and Van Buren, I would think you could put together.
and they currently aren't.
Okay.
They currently are. So that is Fairfield and Van Buren Township, along with the cities of Spragueville and
So
Preston.
can't
That
you,
makes one precinct.
yeah, so scenario 1. You think you have too many, not enough parking for scenario 1 in Union Township?
It currently is that way.
Oh, well, then we should be fine.
So it currently is in scenario 2. This is kind of, Seville is its own precinct.
Then why
Union
would you
Township
break
is
that
in-
up that small?
we would combine it, not break it up. We would combine it. See, I've left them.
Okay, we need to
Yeah,
review this.
That's
and,
right. no, I agree. That's
Yeah.
why you have the information. Give me a call.
Good questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in Union, where is Beulah? Is that on the north part of that or the south part? The city.
It's more on the southern part,
and
southern east part,
Down in the bottom corner. basically.
Have you ever talked to, I was just thinking quickly, when you said Lamont, did you talk to the fire department or Lamont as far as using their community room?
I have not.
I mean, it's nice and flat there and it's.
Parking,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On the backside.
be okay moving it.
I mean, I don't know who you talked to up there. I would
We
say
used to be in the
it's-
fire department.
Yeah.
We certainly could do
Well,
that.
they got a new fire station, so they got a nice community room and
Oh, that'd be
Maybe we
real
need
nice.
to go for a drive.
Mhm.
it worked. It would work, yeah.
Okay, good suggestion. I think we'll. go
I mean,
for a
that's
drive.
better than going up there in the park and up around the building and.
And I know we need to keep moving, so that's just my closing remarks. When we talk about handicap accessibility, I think of being handicapped in different ways now. Handicapped isn't just about someone that's in a wheelchair, but you have to think about someone that has a mobility issue, a sight issue or whatever. And until you start putting someone in a wheelchair and having to wheelchair people around, it really has opened my eyes up as far as even parking. I did spend some time talking to someone about our parking here at the courthouse. I am very passionate about this right now. I am an advocate for these people because what we're doing is not correct and we need to be thinking about this. And I'm sorry to even say that maybe I haven't given this enough attention, but I have, and I am right now, that we need to make these precincts a little more handicap accessible.
Well, I certainly think, the fire station's right on the street and they got concrete right up to the door and it's all level entry and,
I'm willing to take a drive.
It's probably lit up nice too.
yeah, I'm sure it is.
Okay,
I mean,
good suggestion.
I don't think they would be opposed to that.
I can't imagine that they would.
We'll see.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll meet Friday at
At
noon.
noon, okay.
Put that on the calendar.
I was just gonna say. put it on the calendar.
Okay, at this time, we'll be joined by Sheriff Brent Kilberg.
Special meeting like this.
Yes,
Morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay, so today I'm appearing before the board because as you know, we recently got approval for an additional deputy on the sheriff's office. And just recently, the civil service list became certified. And with that, Wes Unke was just recently hired as a part-time deputy for us. So I want to move him to full-time at this time. Wes is, as I read earlier in our other meeting, he's got 30 years with the Clinton Police Department. He's currently a correctional officer with the Clinton County Sheriff's Office. His career includes many years as a school resource officer, working at the elementary, middle, high school levels. And he's also trained in including evidence collection, traffic crash investigations, and crisis negotiations. So he's got a wide variety of experience in his career. So essentially, the purpose for my coming before the board today is just notify you that we're moving Wes from part-time to full-time now.
So do we have anybody just part-time now?
We do not. So Wes will fill the courthouse security officer position, what TJ was doing previously. And TJ will then come to the road. So Wes will be courthouse security and part-time, kind of a dual role. And then off our certified list now, I'm gonna start looking at our 2 part-time positions, filling those off that list. So,
Okay,
nothing further.
Great,
That's all we needed.
thank you.
Good. All right. Thanks,
Good
everybody.
luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay within the birthday treats here.
Bringing me.
Yeah. Make my rounds.
Cinnamon rolls every Tuesday morning.
I'll have to remember that.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
okay, Luann. This time we're gonna be joined by Luann Goki, our administrative assistant.
Morning.
Good morning. All right, calendar for today yet, at 11:30 is the Law Enforcement Center pre-bid meeting. That will be downstairs. All of you are welcome to attend that. Tomorrow is really full. Number one on tomorrow is the auction of the former hospital building. I'm not sure how we will know.
But
what's-
I was told last night that's not going to be until the 18th.
Oh, they moved, okay, all right.
Because I said it was the 8th, and they said last night at our Together We Build, no, that got changed. It's not till the 18th.
Okay,
Is that a good thing?
So I was anxious for the 8th to get here.
at 9 o'clock tomorrow, Larry will be on KMAQ's Just Talk. At 10 a.m. is a 0 to 5 and 60 minutes meeting by Zoom for Jack. At 11 o'clock is the ISAC District 6 Supervisors meeting by Zoom for all of you. And at 11:30 is the RPA, DMADS and Iowa DOT joint meeting by Zoom for all of you. At 1 o'clock is a 988 coalition meeting for Jack by Zoom. At 6 o'clock that night is the 911 presentation with Mike Day, and that will be for Mike. And from 4 to 7:30 tomorrow night is the Macocata River Watershed Management Authority's meeting at Camp Courageous with the I6 people to talk
Yeah,
about
the
their
students are
projects.
gonna show the projects and talk about. And show some of the projects on the properties, yeah.
And it's a public meeting too, I believe, right?
Mhm. I think the public meetings at 5:30.
At 5:30, right? It's a busy day. Thursday, December 9th at 7 a.m. is Bellevue Hometown Pride. Usually they're doing that by Zoom for Mike. At 10 o'clock is the Iowa DHS Council meeting, and this time it will be in Independence, and that's for Jack. At 3 o'clock is the Grantwood Scenic Byway meeting, and she hasn't told me yet, Larry, where that's gonna be, or if it's gonna be by Zoom, but that'll be for you. Friday, December 10th at 10 a.m. is 7th Judicial Department of Corrections in Davenport for Larry. And now we have at noon, a special meeting for the supervisors. Monday, December 13th at 3 o'clock is the Jackson County Compensation Board reconvening. At 6 o'clock that night is the Jackson County Water Trails Public Input Meeting in Hurstville. So that's open to the public as well. Our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, December 14th at 9 a.m. That afternoon at 4 o'clock is the Macocata River Watershed Management Authority Executive Meeting by Zoom for Larry. And 2 pieces of business today. The first one is an appointment to the Pioneer Cemetery Commission. One person, and her term will expire 12/31/2021 because we had to fill the vacancy. So you have her application in the file. Her name is Mary Yoakum. I guess she's been working with them, the Cemetery Commission. So I'm looking for approval to appoint her to the Pioneer Cemetery Commission.
I would move to approve her.
I would second.
The motion in the second to approve the appointment of Mary Yoakum to the Pioneer Cemetery Commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you.
Second, I am looking for approval of a fireworks permit for Tom Yearwood for New Year's Eve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the fireworks permit for Tom Yearwood. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
That's all I have for you.
Okay,
So we have a vacancy coming up on the conservation board.
Correct.
I don't know if you've advertised for that or what's the process?
Yes, because it's been a while ago, so I have advertising that's been in what I published in the paper. That was included in that.
Okay.
I don't think I've advertised individually, but I don't necessarily do that individually, so.
Do we touch base with the previous applicants? As far as like the last time we had a vacancy and they.
I do not usually, the applications are good for a year. I don't think I have any within that time frame.
You know, the person that's coming up said she doesn't want to be on it anymore.
Okay,
So there is a vacancy, there will be a
Yeah.
vacancy.
okay. And so she needs to get in touch with me,
Okay,
so I want to get it in writing,
okay,
or at least over the phone, so that
all right.
she's told me that she wants off, so.
What I was getting at, if we get somebody from, that area, maybe to represent all of, I don't know how we're,
was that Kathy Watson?
Yeah, I-
Oh, we got her.
I have a letter from
Yeah.
Kathy, if that's.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, and
but,
I've known about that for a few months, so.
yeah. This we have representation, I'm thinking, for the whole county, but whether that makes a difference, and I know there was a couple other applicants that didn't get on. Maybe in the last 2 times, if I remember right. Maybe I'll talk to you later and see who's still on there. I'll see if they're still interested or how that stands.
Yeah, we can look at what we've gotten
Yeah.
before.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
well, John, we're ready for you. We just got done with our other business and you're the next on the agenda.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Cooler out there.
It's a lot cooler. I've actually got ice on the cart this morning. Wow, that happens very often.
I wanted to bring you up to date on a couple of things. We've had quite a bit of interest in the project.
I guess for the public, this time we'll have John Hanson with us from Midwest Construction Consultants.
Yep.
The big wig, the president.
Chief cook and bottle washer. Huh?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, this is just a plan holders list that we take a quick look at. We have quite a few general contractors interested at the moment. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we made a lot of calls and everything. Still have to find some HVAC. You got several electrical, HVAC and plumbing. I need a few more. But other than that, we're having pretty good response to the project. Today, we'll be having the pre-bid.
Have you worked with most of these?
Let's say Woodruff is, I've done 2 or 3 with. Williams Brothers, no. Sheets Design, I've talked to Sheets a couple of times. Fordson has been a couple of projects with us, but I've never done one. Merritt, I've done a couple of projects with.
Conlon?
Conlon, I have not done one with. They've been a couple. My understanding is Bruce Builders is very interested in it. Tricon, I haven't done any with a Knudsen. We've worked with them on other projects, but not the jails.
And they all had the plans already, or?
Yep, where it says, either Cent or EL, they already have the plans.
Okay.
EL just stands for they wanted them electronically. Some of them have both.
And have these been invited to this meeting today? Or no?
To the pre-bid meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. I sent it out to everyone.
I guess,
Words of wisdom?
I don't know what this does for me, but
No, I was just letting you know where we were.
I mean, I'd like to see a lot of names, yeah, that's
Oh,
shows interest, I guess, you know.
well, we want to make sure that we get a competitive bid, or at least a bid. You'll probably see that, you'll probably get 50% of them a lot of times that,
I guess my concern is, John, is, I know some of these, I mean, Burton and Conlon for sure, both from Dubuque, are big contractors,
mhm.
but are they familiar with the jail scenario, what all has to be done? I guess they look at the plans and.
Not many. Not many people have done jails before. That's why we're gonna have someone on site manage the
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, It's very rare that you have someone that does 2 or 3. Now Woodruff has done 2 or 3, so they'll probably be a little bit more competitive in their bid just because they understand what they need
Yeah,
to
they have
do
the experience.
overall, yeah.
And you're happy with their work?
Oh, yeah, they did Delaware that you guys went down to see.
Mhm.
And they were actually done early. The other thing I gave you is just the schedule. I didn't know if anybody ever looked within the specification manual. But this is the schedule, the milestone schedule. It's included in the specification manual. The reason I put that in there is we say, well, you got 260 days to do it. Well, they'd call me up when I knew they were behind and say, well, we got 90 days left, but if the workload and the hours it takes to finish it, they can't make it. So this just gives a date that they need to complete stuff by, gives us a better barometer, say, you're behind the schedule. As you can see, if you go part way down the schedule, precast. The precast right now, the bed dates are out till August, September at this point in time. So, we'll get started. We're showing it getting started, late April or when the weather dries up a little bit. And then there'll probably be a small lull in construction until the precast and steel shows up. I know that I checked with one precast manufacturer over in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, and their beds are booked till February of 23. So it's just crazy the lead times that are out there for both steel and precast and any other equipment also. But I have it coming together, I think once you get to August, you're gonna have almost all the material here. So in the specifications, we allow them to order the material immediately, get it to either their shop or into our storage unit that we're building. And then if that's at their shop, they supply a certificate of insurance for storing it at their place in case any damage would occur. And then we'll get them paid for the material anyways. That way, when we get the precast, that building will go up and the precast would be set in probably less than 2 weeks. They usually set 14 panels a day, and I think we have 130 panels on this job.
Wow.
So they'll have that set and be setting steel right away. So I think the schedule's reasonable.
So how are we with our bonding? Does that go out for bid here too, or how's that work?
The bonding, I think the bonding is works with your bonding agent, and typically they wait till after you bid the project.
Okay.
Then Northland Securities will work with you on the bonds, sell them either at a discount or something.
I know
Give
Lisa's
you-
talked with them.
I was just gonna say,
Several
we did have a
times.
conversation, several conversations recently with Heidi from Northland Securities. I will be talking to her on the 17th. We have a telephone visit scheduled on the 17th.
Not at noon.
It's usually 60 to 90
Oh, that's it.
days.
I was like, you're off a week. I was like,
Yes, I don't know.
I was like, where am I gonna be at noon?
Whoops.
No, you're off a week. Yeah, so, yes, Heidi and I, we've been sent some preliminary work because what they're gonna be required of us to answer some questions and such, and so we do have some preliminary paperwork already here. Yes, we're still working on things. We're busy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It usually takes, what, 60 to 90 days for them to,
Yeah.
for them to issue the bonds, get the cash, get the bonds sold. Other than that, it's moving along fairly well. Material costs are just skyrocketed, but that's not unusual for every project bidding, and contractors are bidding like almost 1 to 2 projects a week for the next 22 weeks, they told.
Oh.
I can't believe there's that
Crazy.
much work out there.
I can't either. And I guess, the thing that frustrates me is I certainly wish we could have gone out to bid earlier. Basically you said, let's wait. And from the Together We Build meeting last night, waiting was a mistake.
The prices were up then too.
Yeah, but you said last night they could be going up another 30%.
In next year.
Yeah, well, we're gonna be in next year.
Well, once we bid the project, we're locked into the contract amounts. I think we decided as a group, we thought it would level out over a period of time too. I mean,
No, that was
I
a
mean,
mistake.
I thought it would come down this fall, but yeah, well, it has some, lumber has come down, but that don't do as much good with this.
No, it
price.
doesn't.
well, lumber's come down and it's still up there, as far as that goes. So. Yeah, if it gone the other way, we've been happier about it, but it has not.
My concern is our bond is 5.9. Was original, it was 5.3. The last time you were in, it was 6.8. And, if we see a 30% increase over that in this bids, we don't have the money to do it.
And that's why we have meetings scheduled with Heidi, and Shelley and I have been visiting, and John and I have been visiting, and
All we can do is wait and see what it comes in at first. of
Oh,
all.
absolutely.
And then, we have to have some discussion, yeah.
We're gonna have to come up with a plan B if that's the case, if it's that much above what even the 6.8 is gonna be a struggle. But anything above that, I don't know. It scares me to death.
Well, and that's why I was trying to reduce the square footage originally, but, we decided as a group what we need for space, yes.
Have you ever done any with just set forms in court?
Set forms in for it.
Your walls and stuff.
Well, your steel attaches to your walls.
Okay.
So you have embed plates, you have finishes, sandblasting, or color dye in it.
Okay.
So typically, no.
I didn't know if that would make any difference. I know it'd be a different look if it,
I mean.
but then again, if you're gonna sandblast, you'd be doing it on site instead of before.
Well, and they have the engineers like at APC over Dyersville, they're responsible for the structural integrity of the panel and the connections and everything, liability wise for the county or anybody else. That,
I can see an issue if you pour a wall, it needs to stand there for 21 days before you start loading the roof on it.
yeah,
There's,
that's why they got away from the tilt up, panels that you're talking about is where they poured them on site. Is that they'd leave forms for, 7-8 days. Whereas concrete, they pour at these precast plants, they're picking them panels up in 5 hours. It's a different type of
Mixture.
mixture that they put together on it.
Have you been to the site lately?
I'm gonna go out there to this afternoon after the meeting. I talked to Steve Clark.
Footing and the cross walls are in and it's graded.
Mhm.
That's great. Ready for.
That's very important. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I talked to Steve Clark. I guess he did your excavation out there for
Yeah.
you. And he said he finished up today and stuff over there, so I was gonna run out there. and
I
take a
come by
look.
this morning, it looked like it was done.
Yeah, they were finishing up yesterday.
I talked to Dave a little bit yesterday, but he didn't say anything about when he'd have material either. Cause
He
we're
told me-
looking for a storage building for 911 equipment and dishes that are coming in.
Yeah, I think that originally he said it was almost 12 weeks for you to get the
Yeah.
engineered drawings. You know, and he hoped he'd get them mid-January for you, because the city's gonna require the engineered drawings to issue the final permit. for the
Well, I would
building.
think we would have those on file. I mean, as many buildings as they do.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, then they can charge $3,500 for it.
I get it,
I had to do one time. I went down the thing, we were sitting there and he pulls this, and well, this is where we're at. We're putting stuff together and he stamped it and I walked out of there with all the stuff. In a matter of about an hour and a half.
Mhm.
Just, it was a government job, so we had to have that drawing square stuff.
Any other questions on that, or we can keep moving ahead?
Yep, move ahead.
Okay. For October.
What's left these in your car all night? They're cool.
No, they were just out. I didn't take my briefcase out till this morning because half the stuff doesn't work in my briefcase when it gets that cold. So, for the October and November, you have the architect and engineers fees for construction documents, $95,472. Construction management fee, $41,225. We have reimbursements for mileage for 2 months and of $828.28. And bid document reproduction, which includes UPS shipping costs that are all attached to the back. And the printing of the plans and specification manuals in the amount of $11,182.05 for a total of $53,235.33. And so for the October and November, you have a total of $148,707.33. So are there any questions in regards to that?
This is not in today's, obviously, this is not in today's. John did email me this over the weekend and it is not in today's claims. It'll be in 2 weeks from today.
It's just-
So where's it coming from? I guess what I'm saying is if we keep getting bills as we go, then, I mean, is it part of the bond? Is it part of, you know?
It's coming out of the general fund right now. It is not part of the
Okay,
bond,
so that was
obviously.
my assumption that most of these fees were part of the bond.
Yeah, and you know, typically a county will set up interim financing or take it out of the general fund and then reimburse the general fund.
Okay, well, that's the first time I heard that, yeah.
Yeah. Because like I said, it's usually 60 to 90 days, you get the design fees and everything else with
Well, I guess I don't
So
know the
it's like-
timeline, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
I don't know when to expect invoices or what, you know. Do they come monthly, every 2 months, or?
we waited 2 months for
Yeah.
it, submitted days. And then once the project starts going, yeah, they'll be
Yeah.
monthly.
Okay, so, I mean, like these invoices or bills are normal and ongoing as you projected going when we started this whole thing.
That's correct. The architectural fees are locked in and so are our fees.
Okay,
So those will not change. And then anything that was bid under original would be shown under the original. And if there's the second column would be if there was any change orders. So you see a negative 4,000 under the architectural. That was the return of premium for phase one from the architect.
so Lisa.
Yes,
As I'm looking at this, I guess I'm just looking at one number or two numbers because architectural fees and Midwest construction fees. So that gets put in your line of work into, so we know exactly where we stand
so we,
with Midwest or with Rick.
Or with any contractor.
Yeah,
we
Yeah.
have created, we're gonna create, I believe it's created already, but we've already created a spreadsheet of costs.
yeah,
So yes, we're,
associated with each portion of the project,
yes,
because like you said, he bid it out and that's what his bid was and.
yes,
Okay.
yes, we know that we have
I mean.
We have quite a job ahead of us.
Yeah,
Let's just put it that way.
I'm just saying, yeah,
Yes.
keep it all in.
The state auditor usually goes over this. Our figures have to match with leases. These figures need to match with leases. But every time there's a change order or something, it is noted on the back. Or if there's a deduct, it is noted on a section on the second page under notes. So you can see even the first one, it shows that change order count was decreased 4,000 and it revised Rick's contract value in the first note. That will continue anytime there's a change, anytime there's a contract added, anytime a purchase order is made, will be noted on the back so that you can follow this. If you come down to column line 3, column 3 on the front down to 6, line item 6. Contingency, and you go to column line 3. Right now, you're showing a contingency of $5,964,969. That's because we don't have any of the construction costs entered, but we do have different categories for project allowance, expense allowances. They're under section 5. So anytime there's a invoice, it will be shown under the current bill due, and it will show what has been paid to date. And then it will tell you if you're over or under there on balance to finish, including retainage.
Okay, on page 2,
Yep,
there's 8.1 of 21 funds available. Where did that number come from?
that was what we approved in the last meeting, the 6.826 million.
We approved, or that was a projection that you made?
That was the estimate that we used, and we decided to go with that estimate at that time. I believe it was approved during the meeting by the board that we were gonna go that amount, because before we continued with design. And that would be adjusted to whatever you tell me it's adjusted to at that time.
I guess we don't know.
Until after the bid, that's correct.
For damn sure.
Okay.
So it's a part of this gonna be go on to the EMS room. Right down. One room we're gonna do this concrete ceiling.
Oh. But emergency.
The emergency
Command center.
operations
Yeah,
center.
sorry. I mean, when would we break that apart, or can we, or do we need more information on that?
That's what I need to talk to Lisa about. I mean, I know that some of the counties are using some American rescue funds towards it because of the, it says if you have cameras to reduce the people going into inmate sections, that you can pay for part of that. I know that the negative air pressure that we have in special status cells to control airborne contaminants, that they're using that. I just received a overview from Palo Alto on theirs on what they would like me to price that's already included in the project that they can utilize their American Rescue Funds for.
So the negative pressure ones, those were already in there before the.
That's correct. Yeah, that's something that we try to put in our jail. Yeah.
What counties are, you know, what counties are able to do that, John? You said Palo Alto was one of them. Use the American Rescue Funds for.
It's stipulated in the instructions for it. For the American Rescue Funds and what you can use it for.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Do you know which counties are using that though? Are able, or they're planning to use that, you know, the cell separation using cameras, so you don't have so much interaction. And then the negative air pressure was another item you mentioned.
That I can't answer. I just know I received that, you know, because the American Rescue Funds are fairly recent, you know, last 3 months or so.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who is using them, what they're all being used for or anything else. It's up to each county, is my understanding.
Yeah, we just.
But we have to be extremely cautious how we use that fund so that down the road, when we get audited, we don't have to pay it back. Because we're not gonna have it to pay it back.
And we're still waiting, well, and we're still waiting to see if we've received that grant too.
Right.
Yes,
So, you know, that would help significantly if
It
we could
would.
receive that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that comes, you know, we
Yeah.
made calls a couple, 3 weeks ago here, Lynn did too. and-
Yeah. But I think we're still in the running though.
Yeah, we are.
I don't think we've been booted out yet. Yeah.
So there's options
Actually, I think
to
it's
make
been,
this feel a little less uncomfortable.
I think it's actually approved, except for they haven't passed the bill yet, or whatever they need to do, the way I took it.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure. Yeah.
It's not official yet, that's for sure.
No.
So the reason I was asking John is just if there's counties that have figured out a way to skin that cat. You know, we wanna learn that too, because. I
I'm
shouldn't
not,
speak for the
I'm
board.
not for skinning any cats.
Well, I hate to speak for the board, but the message I've been kind of. It sounds like there's so much to that it's like there's more they'll tell you you can't do than what you can, if I'm not speaking incorrectly, but. So we're cautious about that. I guess is the way to say it.
No one knows what this infrastructure bill is gonna do too. I know it's gonna strip the construction industry, because you know, if we have that much work going on outside in the construction now, if you start throwing money at bridges and roads and everything else, that's gonna affect your steel and concrete and everything else. And the biggest things they're running into is labor. I know that up northwest, where it's a lot more expensive, they put out advertising for $75 an hour for carpenters up there. And they got no responses.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could
Where's that at?
near Spencer in there. In that
To
area.
apron.
And most of the firms were, most of the people or contractors were coming out of South Dakota. So they've probably been working in that oil industry and stuff, making some damn good money up in that area. So,
Okay.
and if there's no comments regarding it, it's our recommendation for the approved pay application for December 1st, 2021 in the amount of 148, 707.33.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved in second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Signed, or you can keep one,
What is this, John?
same thing.
Yeah, but you just want it signed?
Yeah, sign, I leave two. for
All of
Lee.
us or just Jack?
Just whoever is chairman.
That's what I thought.
Foundation came together. Monday morning, they pulled in about 7:30, they started moving dirt. By 1 o'clock, they were out with the footings board.
I'll leave.
Came back, and, yeah, they did, they dug it, flattened it out, poured it, and we're out of there by about 1:30. The next day, they set forms and poured it, and we're out of there again by 1:30.
Yeah, so they did trench, ended up doing trench footing. pouring
No,
our way,
Knock it out.
No.
Put a footing in, form wall, cut forms.
That's your.
Three foot-
Lisa's
three
copy,
foot
yeah,
wide trench.
and then that's mine.
Oh, you want this one back?
It's just my record copy and I leave a copy for you.
How many people do you expect to be at the meeting today? How do you know? huh?
It could be 2, it could be 20.
Okay.
So, I mean. If the plans are that good that they
We
don't
hope there's
even
some, correct?
question it.
For sure.
And I assume, John, you'll continue contacting some of these.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So the final plans, do we have the final, do I have the final plans or do you said you sent them to Brent?
And to Lisa,
And we have a
Lisa,
copy in our office along with the books, the manuals, I think is a good way to put it. We have a copy in our office.
But
if you'd
nothing
like to
really
see 'em.
changed from the last time, other than the booth or one booth or something.
Yeah, and then
I don't know which one I was looking at last, but
John said basically we'll straighten that out later.
yeah.
My point was, is we just didn't want the monitor and all that that goes with it, because we didn't feel we needed it. But as far as when you make the center booth, you almost make the booth left of it by having just the partition, and if you set the counter, then it's there. So,
yeah, the only thing that changed a little bit in that room is they had to get the ADA accessibility, so the attorney entrance, attorney visit, increased a little bit, which created a place for the Stellar Teller right next to it. The video visitation equipment actually comes from your provider anymore, because anything's going to iPad now. So that comes from your inmate phone provider typically, and I think you're dealing with Ryan right now.
Currently, we have in cartel.
In there, yeah. Reliant, they provide all the iPads, the iPad chargers and stuff in there. I did see, I got an email from you the other night for fiber optics, is that?
Network cable.
Yeah. Okay, yep. Where are we at with fiber optics? Is that still an ongoing process, right?
Yep, we're on schedule, basically, we'll be waiting till the gets construction started over there, but we'll be ready, so.
Yeah, they have a calendar, it's running out.
So we have a verbal agreement, and then we're just waiting for them to come up with their contract.
Well, there'll be a ton of IT stuff to coordinate, as we go forward, so. Any other questions for me today?
I don't.
No.
Make it set up. I left plans in the office for Steve Blocky,
Okay,
and I put his name on it. and
Okay.
I touched Shelley.
okay, all right, good, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you in a bit.
Okay. Oh, I did have one last question. So the hospital auction's been put off till the
18th.
18th. So I believe the cabinets are still in the bid, so that's something that can be pulled out as we move forward, and anything that, even after we bid, you know, there should be some items that we can look at as far as value engineering.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Is it okay if it's set up down there right now?
Oh, sure, you bet. Yep.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that we need to discuss today? I would say that last Friday, I think it was Friday. I was in West Burlington and it was wonderful. The head of the workforce development was there. And there was a gentleman, I think his name was Dave, was from the governor's office. And we talked about a lot of different things that our area needs. They came, Beth Township came because of the high unemployment in some of the counties in our Mississippi Valley region. And we discussed all sorts of things and she took lots and lots and lots of notes. And the last thing I asked her before we left was, is there going to be a follow-up? I said, I watched you and Dave take lots and lots of notes from this meeting, and I'm certainly hopeful that we'll get some information back from you as to what we can do to proceed. Because, and they said, people just are not applying for jobs. And there's so many jobs opened that no one is applying for. And we talked quite a bit about the problem with the cost of childcare. And we also talked about the low pay that childcare providers are at. I know that in Clinton, they have their extended day at the Y. But we found out at our last ECI meeting, from 2 until 5, they don't have any staff. So the kids have to leave. Well, it makes it very difficult if you're working and don't get off work till 5 o'clock. What are you going to do with that child for those 3 hours? So, and they said the reason they can't get anybody is they're paying $8 an hour. And that just it's not working.
I still think it's gotta be, you know, implemented into the school system where you could have a spot to take them. No different than kindergarten or pre-K or whatever it is. You know, I think you have to have a spot. Gotta be implemented into the school system somehow. I mean, I know Easton Valley's running theirs. I don't know how they're running that, but I don't know how young they take either, you know, but. What do they consider when they consider the unemployment rate at this and that, or who they consider is a viable worker?
I think.
Do they,
what I read
do
was-
they take every man and woman that's registered in the county or the state or wherever? Well, some people have to stay home with their children and some people work here and not both parents work sometimes, you know, I don't know what they consider when they do
We had several employers there that run manufacturing companies. And we had just some business people there. And then I think there was 5 county supervisors from our Mississippi Valley region. And Linda Roush got promoted, Mike Witt retired. And so she now is the head person for our Mississippi Valley region. But it was, and they said they can't beg, borrow, or steal employees.
John just talked about $75 an hour for a carpenter. Couldn't get anybody. I mean,
that. They said, I talked to a guy that works with my Vermeer equipment for boring and stuff, and he said they're looking to hire 400 people when they.
And that's like I said at that meeting, I said, we have Amazon that's building this gigantic plant, and they said that's gonna employ 5,000 people.
5,000.
That's what I
You
was
can see
told.
that building for miles. I mean, they had it all lit up. And it's like, what is that?
So, and I said to the gal that's at the Iowa Workforce Office in Davenport, I said, have you done anything? Are they doing anything at the present time? Because it'll be a while before the building's done, but
Mhm.
you know, when you're looking at that number of people to be employed, I just
I just can't imagine how many people are working on something like that. That's a lot of.
yeah,
I think that'll actually hurt our Macokota businesses.
certainly could, because that's an awful easy drive.
It'll draw
Yeah.
them for the money.
Something else I heard for the businesses, 95% of them will pay for your training and stuff to learn the job. I mean,
Well,
it's
and
crazy.
Iowa Works provides all kinds of training also from the area community colleges, if they have a need. And they said one of the big things right now is getting truck drivers.
Oh,
It's just impossible to get truck drivers. And
And their
there's,
CDL license.
and it's,
68,000, was it 68,000 was the figure that they said there was truckers needed?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a lot, yeah.
I think it might even be higher than that, I think, from what I've heard.
yeah, that was the last, I think that was at a forum that I'd gone to. And yeah, it probably is higher now.
There's a lot of jobs out there available if we could just get people to go apply.
Well, and I'm thinking as
Where are they
a,
gonna get them though?
Yeah.
They're all but 3% are working. Or, you know, the unemployment rate.
Well, was that out of the 50,000 people, 10% are unemployment and the other 40% are just not working, but they're not drawing unemployment either. So why are they?
If
sitting
their
there?
counterpart is making enough, they don't have to. I wouldn't either.
I think there's funny math in the numbers though too, because that's like years ago, you're not, what is it, you're not technically unemployed if you're not looking for a job. And I mean, you gotta be
Well,
trying
like
to
you
get
say,
a
yeah,
job.
do both parents work or do both? Years ago, it wasn't that way. You were a housewife, you know.
Yeah.
Years ago, but.
A lot more need now than there was.
I can't imagine 68,000 more trucks on the interstates as I'm driving to Des Moines. It's truck. I can't imagine having 68,000 more trucks on the highways. Or more, as you said.
I don't have anything else.
No motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.